Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Marshall here, and I apologise for it being a while since I have done a cast, but here we go. I've been given a replay recently, and this one features Dreadnought and Clopse. Allow me to just adjust my microphone so I can see the statistics, and this is Nogolia. An interesting map. You get two spawn options, and both players have spawned on the platform side. Dreadnought on the north, in mirrored south, mirrored north. Yeah, you can tell I'm out of practice, can't you? Clopse in the north, in green, apologies for the colours, going bots first into air with a single mechs, following that up with a couple of P-gens. I would imagine down on the south though, Dreadnought in lovely white, bots into air, mechs, and then three P-gens. Oh, maybe two. Or is he going for two into vehicle factories? And then another two. What's his next factory going to be? 3 or 4 fabs, I wonder. Likewise with Clopse. Notice that the meta has tended to shift more towards drifters recently. They just tend to be, even though they're more expensive, they tend to just be the better all-round thing to what? All-round thing to do. What is Clopse doing? That's a lot of air. I mean, I know I've been out of the game for a while, but what is... Can someone explain this to me, please? Clopse? What are you doing, buddy? Meanwhile, so let's have a look around the map and what the players can be doing while they do that. We've got Dreadnought with a couple of boom bots here looking for a Faber snipe or two, but they're going with a nice train here. We've got some sparks and docks. None of these guys are actually going to get any hits off. A little bit of damage to a P-gen, not a big deal. Dreadnought with a Firefly there as well. These are always useful to get out for the little bits of vision. You can see how much vision Dreadnought can get from that Firefly, especially on the smaller maps like this. This one's only 500 radius. You can see how much. By just popping that in the equator, you'll be able to see all the way up to the edge of your opponent's base on this particular map. So they're really useful to get. Clopse playing very heavy into air, whereas Dreadnought not quite. He's going more into naval, and he's got a couple of vehicle factories here. 3 now, in fact. Oh, he's going very heavy vehicles. Okay, this is going to be interesting because vehicles have the direct counter to air in the spinner, right? The anti-air vehicle. But at the same time, Clopse can potentially negate that. Because I think I read somewhere that the Icarus gunship doesn't get automatically targeted by anti-air or something like that. And so if you swamp the Icarus with loads of hummingbirds, then all of the anti-air will be focusing on the hummingbirds. I might need to be corrected on this, so don't quote me. As I say, I've been out of the game for a little bit. But it could be interesting to watch, and potentially that's what Clopse is doing. With this many air factories, I can't imagine what else he's doing. Air fabbers, though, will be useful to get across the map very quickly, and look at this, Dreadnought isn't really going over here at all. Clopse will be able to do so, he'll be able to play in the water, he'll be able to lock down and avoid all of the sort of geographical concerns. He just has to keep them safe, and Dreadnought there coming out with the air. Dreadnought going much more standard opening build, I feel. Here with the bots air vehicles, navy as well on Nogolia, keeping everything safe, playing it very vanilla, as it were. Clopse though, with the wild strat, not even bothered with a naval factory, and here come the Icarus. Okay, yeah, this could be very interesting. I don't really know what else to say. He's just going to continue doing that. He'll want to continue expanding down here, and Dreadnought will want to stop this. Clopse, though, trying to get up some pelters. If he can lock down this area, that prevents Dreadnought from expanding to all of these mechs, other than sort of going the long way around with maybe a drop or a naval fabber that could probably just about reach those metal sights there. But the only answer Dreadnought has for this is going to be the ranged units himself, and here we go with a Grenadier, who is responding to this turret, just out of range of it, and Clopse there going to have to push out, but that's exactly why he's going for the Pelter here, because that'll be able to deal with these units. The problem is keeping his units safe while they build that, and he's struggling a little bit for power. That is answered by his Icarus, and he's gradually building more and more and more of these, and oh, so the standard builds, right, you have to have power generators to support factories, right? You can see that with Dreadnought. He's building power generators to support his factories as he's building them, right? If you go for Icarus, you don't need that many power generators because the Icarus generate the power themselves, and here we go! Unbelievable. Oh, it is focusing the Icarus, look. It did focus down the Icarus. So Clopse needs a lot of them. But he just completely defended this while it was getting attacked. Look at that. Dreadnought now is going to have to hard pivot into spinners now that he knows what Clopse's strat is. Look at this. Straight into spinners. Straight away. No waiting at all. By the way, folks, if you're sort of relatively new to PA and you're trying to get the hang of build orders and things like that and being able to adapt, a quick way of doing that, if you're new, you might be the sort of person who selects a factory and then shift clicks like 100 units out of it. Firstly, you don't need to do that. You have a look into repeat build button, which will be down the right, like the build loop. But also, if you control click, hold control and click a unit out of a factory, it adds it to the front of the queue. So if you want to react to something super duper quickly, like build a load of spinners, you can hold control, hold shift and click the spinner once, and that'll queue 5 spinners right to the front. And the next 5 things built out of your factory will be spinners. Look at that. There's just too many Icarus for the spinner to deal with. And the hummingbirds just get swamped. And look at this. Clopse is just completely able to defend. It's Icarus getting rid of an expansion. I mean, Dreadnought was able to kill off Clopse's expansion down here with the air fabs. Dreadnought looks like he sort of wandered over with either some naval or some sparks or something over there. I don't know, but either which way, that stifled Clopse's expansion in the short term, but I don't think Clopse needs to. He's sort of got this side pinned down quite nicely. He's got some fabs going around the back of this Pelter, which is right in the middle there, goes all the way up to the shoreline. Gorgeous placement there from Clopse. And Dreadnought now has no recourse but to answer aggression with aggression. He just doesn't have the units to be able to deal with this. Which is so ironic. Like, a couple of years ago in PA, no one, absolutely no one, would have considered doing this other than as a meme, right? Other than a meme, you wouldn't build Icarus a couple of years ago. Now, it's a blimmin' viable strat. What is going on? What is this game? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is this game? And now, Clopse doing the debate and switch here. Coming back, answering the naval, protecting his base, his commander doing a little bit of idling there. Could possibly even go up to T2 air if he wanted to. Needs a bit more in the way of mechs expansion before doing that. But right now, he needs to focus on defense here. There's a few spinners in there. Not enough to deal with all of this. Here they come. Hummingbirds out first to deal with the anti-air threat. Lovely, lovely stuff. And Clopse now having to pull back to the base. The Hummingbird's just a little bit too strong for those Icarus. Clopse doesn't want to lose that trade unnecessarily. But the thing is, that bait and switch from Clopse, he now has an aggressive ground force over here, while Dreadnought's ground force is all the way displaced, attacking. And it won't really be able to do much damage because Clopse isn't necessarily in there. I mean, his commander can deal with all of that quite nicely. But Dreadnought now has to answer the ground assault. I mean, it's not really an assault. It's more like a harassment force. You see how Clopse is keeping Dread on his toes? He's not saying, okay, I'm only doing this. He's like, oh, you thought I'm going super heavy into that? Well, yes, I am. but you're going to need to watch your back. And that's what the best players do. They try and adapt to the enemy's adaptation, as it were. Let's see what Clopse can see here. He hasn't got radar up. Probably worth doing. He'll be able to see all the troop movements around this middle area if he pops up a radar in this zone. But look at this Dreadnought deciding not to push into the base. This is a good move from Dreadnought, deciding not to push into the base, but instead retreating and raiding at the same time in multiple places. This is really good moves by Dread here. Knocking Clopse down in the eco pegs. Gets rid of the foothold in the crater. One more shot on that. And even though he's lost his army to that, that was a worthy trade. He got a bit of intel on the base. He raided a lot of mechs and he unseated a foothold. That was a good use of an army there, I feel. The problem is, Clopse is still growing in the air. Dread needs to really put in the effort in the air game here. Yeah, here we go. Lots of air factories coming out for Dread. He's like, okay, I'm going to answer fire with fire here because he just has to. He has, like, you know, it's going to be the best option for him because it also maintains his mobility on the map. And what he can't do at the moment is answer Clopse's expansion over this side. Especially considering he's gone so heavy into vehicles and also sparks. These guys are slow. Slow bots. I mean, the only way he can raid that effectively and efficaciously with vehicles is by spamming out a load of strikers because they're faster. However, the flip side is strikers lose to Icarus big time. But this is a scary force now. 49 hummingbirds, 36 Icarus. That's a lot of AA. And there's one Galata turret here. Oh look, some expansion for me to raid. Juicy. And here we go. Clopse warding off Dreadnought. Look at this air micro. You wonder why the dancing happens. It makes sure that all the air at the back gets their shot off, while the air at the front gets a chance to retreat. So you're losing as little as possible while doing as much damage as possible. And the micro for that is sort of in a circle, if you will. You sort of want to do that sort of a dance. Ooh. Yeah, I wouldn't do that, Clopse. Don't do that. That's 2 narwhals. Oh, he's going for it. Here we go. 36 Icarus versus 2 narwhals. Splat. Unbelievable. Now, this is impressive. Another way that Clopse is adapting here, he knows that if Dread gets a big enough ground force, he just won't be able to stop it. His commander and Icarus just won't be able to stop it, especially considering that Dread gradually should be, but doesn't seem to be, increasing his number of spinners in his army. But what this means is that his army will be thinned out enough by the time it gets to the base that he should be able to deal with it. And there we go. Dread now should realise that there are mines on the field, so he should now be getting combat fabs of his own. He's doing that to reclaim. Aha, there you go. Look, exactly. A skitter. Mine detector extraordinaire. The skitter. Also known as a mine detector buggy. This guy's the one that plays on the grid and puts flags in places where numbers appear. If you get enough of these guys, the sun puts on some sunglasses. Great news. Meanwhile though, Clopse still raiding. Not attacking the base. This is vital here. Not attacking the base because he doesn't have the capacity to do so yet. There's enough AA here, and the commander as well, to block out these Icarus. The thing is, those Icarus numbers are growing. We're up to 49 now, and still, still growing. What is this game? 73. I mean, Dread doesn't have any expansion anymore. Clopse has just gone around and picked it off. Unbelievable. I mean, Dread's taken out some of Clopse's proxies, but Clopse don't need no proxy. He got Icarus, man. He got Icarus, man. Oh dear, but look at this. Dread is also doing the good move here of zoning out. So he's just popping up a couple of Galata to dissuade Clopse's movement. It wouldn't stop it if Clopse committed to it, but it makes committing to it costly enough that it dissuades Clopse from moving in that zone. Like, you saw him think twice about the narwhals there, back before he committed and just popped them off, right? That's the sort of thing that those Galata dotted around will do. It'll make Clopse think twice, give Dread a bit more breathing room, and a little bit more time potentially as well. The problem is time is running out for him. This Icarus cloud is looking slightly worrying, and the other thing is these Icarus can fire while moving, right? They don't have the best maneuverability, but they can fire while they run away from stuff. And that means that, you know, they don't have to commit on a particular approach vector when going over an army. They can kind of just sort of hover for a bit, you know, and do that maintained damage. Whereas bumblebees have to go over, they have to come back, they have to go over again. And all of that time, they're in range of the AA. Whereas Icarus just sit over, just constantly going pew, 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 pew. You can mod that into the game if you want, by the way, as an Icarus sound effect. Pew, 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 pew. The Clopse's error is just too great here. I'm not seeing a way that the Dread can really answer this. I mean, it's interesting. So submarines now can't be attacked from the air, if I remember correctly. Which means that these guys are the only way to actually sort of deal with these factories over time. But of course, Clopse can just bring out some torpedo units of his own, right? But if Dread committed to subs, he might have an ability to do something here. Especially considering the commanders... I mean, it's not in the water, but enough of the base is in the water that it would just decimate Clopse. Right, what's he doing over here? Again, look, now he knows that he can deal with 2 narwhals. His numbers are even greater than before, so he's just not fussed about narwhals now. And this is the problem with Dread. With Dread's strat here, is that, you know, he can't really stop this snowball. He's defending and holding his corner, but that's only because Clopse doesn't have a big enough snowball yet. Right? And again, something that you need to sort of learn while you're playing PA is sometimes attacking the main base isn't the right course of action. And actually starvation tactics is possibly better because that allows you to build up better to ensure victory. Right? What is it in the Art of War? The victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won. And that is exactly what Clopse is doing here. Being said, Dread putting in a good bit of counter-attacking there. You see what I mean about the naval attack there? Trying to catch Clopse off guard. He doesn't have a lot of naval production. He's only got that 1 naval factory so far. And this force here has made Clopse reroute everything. But look at those Icarus. Oh, look at those Icarus. There are not many of them anymore. We were at 68 a minute ago. We are now at 15, 13. That's big. That's big. Oh, that's GG. Clopse has nothing. You know, I was talking about, yeah, freaking Art of War and seeking battle after the victory has been won. Clopse hadn't won that victory yet. And this goes to show Dread biding his time, man. I did say it way earlier, right? The number of spinners was needed to grow, and all that was necessary was to propose a big enough attacking force and enough AA that Clopse had no recourse but to commit, right? The only reason Clopse is still alive in this game is because he committed those Icarus to that attack. If he didn't, he would have lost his base. He committed, he lost his air force, and therefore his base defense, and therefore Dread can roll in and secure the GG. Looks like the Icarus strat is a very, very long game strat. And also, the other problem with it is it's very weak to that naval. Clopse left his naval as a big backdoor. Like, subs and stuff just came in, wrecked a bunch of his factories, and now he can't reproduce Icarus fast enough. His commander has to respond to this. And, you know, he's been flying high so far. He's had his head so far in the clouds. And now he's got to walk around. He's a little bit unsteady on these two legs here. It's like, you know, he's been on cloud 9. It's like being on a trampoline. He's been having so much fun in the air. He's now got off the trampoline and he's a bit unsteady. he's thinking, oh dear. Oh, back down to ground zero. I don't like this very much. And again, look at this. Dread not committing to the base attack. Again, you know, he'll only lose these units for marginal gains. Instead, come back, regroup a little bit, do a bit of raiding, get the next force ready. What a turnaround. I don't see a way that Clopse can come back from this. He just doesn't have the factories. 6 to 14 there, look at that. The eco is now in Dread's hands as he goes and raids the rest of the map here. And Clopse doesn't have the presence, he doesn't have the units. It's all over. Obviously in the replay we can't see the chat. But I imagine it won't be too long before the GGs happen, really. But they're biding its time. What we'll do when this is all over is we'll go and have a look at the build-up to that attack where all the Icarus were lost. Like, Clopse is trying to rebuild here. He's up to 18, but it's nowhere near fast enough. And the thing is, he's gone all in. I mean, what he could do, I suppose, is use these Icarus as power gen now and try and pivot to ground, but he's so far behind that it would be such an uphill struggle. There, his commander's weakened a bit. The Icarus have to commit again to save his skin. And the Icarus are all gone again. I mean, there's no way. There is no way Clopse can win, but he's going to force Dread to play it out. He's going to say, you want me? You can come and get me, man. I'm in the water. I'm in a boat. And Dread's going to be like, okay. I've shown you my boats before. Come on, take a bow. Was that a boat pun? Maybe. You know, the best boat puns come out of this this area in the UK, which ironically isn't on the coast. Called Hull. Yeah, I'll stop, shall I? Yeah, okay. I mean, you know. When the boat puns come out, you know I'm rudderless. Guys, I need a new steer on a new topic to talk about, you know. Shame that there's no stream chat here because, well, this isn't a stream. Shall I stop? Yeah, okay, I'll stop. What else is there to say, really? Dread played it pretty well. He didn't give up, even though he was really backed into a corner. He looked for the opportunities. He noticed that all the air factories were in the water, and he noticed the proxies down here. He answered the proxy and then thought, I'll come and attack the base. And he took out the priority that was the air factories. And you know, smart troop movements throughout the game as well, like attack. Decide, okay, I can't win this base at the moment. I'm just gonna retreat and raid. You know. Good moves like that. Adapting to the mind play. Skitter's coming out. Going around raiding Clopse's stuff. It's all going well. Zoning out Clopse. Reducing his ability to raid here with Galata. Albeit out of necessity, but, you know, it's the right way to answer it. The exact right way to answer it. Clopse is definitely forcing him to commit to this. He's saying, you know, you gotta win this game, man. I'm not giving you the suicide. I think Clopse is gonna try for the naval all in. I don't see anything else that he can do really. He's got a lot of naval production very, very quickly here. 4 factories. Pulling back. Got a couple of barnacle repair barges here to help keep these orcas alive for as long as possible. He hasn't adjusted his rally point, so he sent a few into their death. Now dreads scouts with the air. He sees, okay, that's the size of the force. Subs can pick away from a distance again. Of course, repair barges are in the sort of water hover class, so torps can't get them. There's nothing. There's nothing left. And it devolves into a pelter creep. What started off with such shiny prospect has dissolved into pelter creep and subspam. You wouldn't have thought it, eh? So I guess, what should you do if you see a weird strat like that? Right? You got to think what it means for the other person. So there's the one aspect of making sure you don't overextend, which Dreadnought didn't do, right? He expanded and got picked off, but he then didn't try and re-expand too far. He sort of gradually did it, zoning out, right? You don't want to overextend, because you know that your opponent has the air control. There's the GG. You know that your opponent has the air control, which means that you are limited by how fast your ground units can move to respond to a situation, right? So what do? You negate the advantage of the air movement ability, so hence the zoning. But what does it also mean? It also means that your opponent is likely going to use air fabs to expand. So try and hunt them down. You know, you gotta try and use their methods against them at some point, you know. Like Clopse had air fabs doing stuff, right? Here, if you had a few air units ready to just come around and go boop, you know, just ready, you know, bait and switch sort of thing, or you know, when Clopse was expanding over here, you know, just occasionally send like 1 or 2 air units around picking off those fabs. Doesn't matter if you lose 1 or 2 hummingbirds as long as you stop the fabs, you know. If you're losing more than that, then it's not necessarily worth it, but you know, you can stop all of this. What this also meant, of course, is Clopse's power, his ability to produce energy, was entirely reliant on these guys staying alive. And these guys staying alive was entirely reliant on their numbers, and their numbers were entirely reliant on the factories. And the factories, being alive, were reliant, obviously, on Dreadnought not counterattacking. But what's the best way to counterattack? They're in the water. So, go around in the Navy. And of course, what's the best way to evade these sorts of units? Subs. Yeah, you got to think this stuff through, right? And obviously, to the pro players, this is, you know, I'm teaching you to suck eggs, but you know, I'm also trying to pitch this to those of you who aren't necessarily pro or higher skilled, so that you sort of learn something about this. You know, it's not just about, oh, I need more units. It's about being smart with which units you make. You know, it's that next sort of level of thinking. And then, of course, a mix of units is also good. But let's have a look at that decisive moment when the air disappeared. When Clopse flew a little too close to the sun, if you will. Look at this, right? So Dreadnought, for the last... Oh, what did he actually do with these guys? So... these guys, prior to attacking, were a slow push out. Now, these guys were a latent threat for Clopse. Right, and again, popping off those air fabs. The naval little proxy down there had already been taken out by Dreadnought's subs as they went past. Right. Subs and a little ground force took that out nicely. And then Dreadnought comes out and pushes through the crater and thinks, okay, I can maybe do some damage here. You know, he's got a lot of units. He'll go like, okay, I'll go and raid that while I'm here. Why not? Because I know the air is elsewhere, so they're not going to come and attack me. So let's do some raiding. And then he's like, okay. Well, I'm attacking his base now, so he's going to be too busy over here to deal with me on this side. And that's exactly what happened, right? He also realised that Clopse is too busy like dealing with this over here, which was arguably not a very good move because those things weren't threatening anything at the time. And he lost a bunch of Icarus to spinners there, down to 43. He was previously at 68 or something crazy, right? Down to 43 there, straight away. Now Dread has a concerted attack effort on the base. This army here is just the big one. You know, Clopse didn't have to commit here, I don't feel. Right? He could have used his commander to deal with that. It would have done significant damage, and he did have a few orcas. But it was that choice to commit. We can debate a little bit as to the necessity, but it's down to that. That there flipped the game on a dime, straight away. And ever since then, Clopse could not rebuild. That was the moment. Well, folks, I've been Marshall. Hope you very much enjoyed this content. I know I haven't produced any in a while, and so your friends won't have had any links from you of any new Marshall content. Well, now you can share this with them. Marshall's got a new video. Send those links, share that stuff, and drop a like if you liked it, folks. The engagement really helps me out. And yeah, let me know what you learnt. What did you learn from this video? Tell me in the comments. What did you learn from this particular game? Anyway, until next time, folks, I've been Marshall. Have a good one.